Hello, dear friends. Good evening. Such a beautiful, beautiful evening. Let's continue to read this book, the Iliad. Paris makes an offer, and the Greeks make a war. The Trojans were relieved to see Hector come back safely, but they longed for an end to the war. Everyone wants to have an end. Everyone wants to have an end of the war. Their leaders gathered in King Priam's palace, and one of them, Antenor, dared to say aloud what many were thinking. "What are we fighting for?" he said. "This is not an honorable war for us. We should give Helen back to Menelaus with all her treasure." Paris jumped to his feet, shouting furiously, "Helen is my wife. Shame on you. Helen is Menelaus' wife." This is not in the book, okay? Helen is Menelaus' wife. You stole the wife of another guy. Okay. "I will never let her go, but I don't care about the treasure. Menelaus can have it all, and more besides, if he agrees to end the war and go away." Other people began to shout, some agreeing with Paris and some with Antenor. King Priam stood, raising his hands for silence. "Paris has made a fair offer," he said. "Tomorrow morning, let's send Idaeus, our herald, to the Greek ships to tell Agamemnon that Menelaus, Agamemnon and Menelaus what Paris says. At the same time, he can ask for a truce to let us carry our dead warriors from the battlefield and give them a proper funeral." Everyone agreed. He can give a truce to let us dead funeral and give them a proper funeral. Everyone agreed to his plan. They all went off to their separate quarters, hopeful that the end of the war was in sight at last. In the Greek camp, the mood was completely different. Ajax was welcomed as though he'd won a great victory. Agamemnon had a fine bull roasted, roast beef, and he carved the best pieces of meat for Ajax. As the Greek kings sat together after the feast, wise old Nestor leaned forward into the firelight. "I have a plan," he said. "Many of our brave soldiers have been killed, and their bodies are scattered across the plain. Let's arrange a truce tomorrow morning so that we can retrieve the bodies and build a funeral pyre. Everyone agreed with that, but Nestor hadn't finished. We can use the funeral pyre to build a defense for our ships. After the bodies are buried, we can pile earth on top of the pyre to make a long mound, sealing off this beach. If we put wooden walls on top of the mound and dig a trench in front of it, our ships will be well protected. The other kings liked Nestor's plan, and soon they were given a chance to carry it out. Before sunrise the next morning, the Trojan herald Idaeus arrived, bringing the message from King Priam. "Noble lords," he said, "I have come to ask for a truce. We want to give our dead heroes a proper funeral." Totally makes sense. "Also, I bring you a generous offer from Prince Paris. If you agree to end this unhappy war, we will give back all the treasure he took from Sparta, with more besides, from his own treasure store. But he insists on keeping Helen as his wife." Man, Helen will grow old one day. For one woman to sacrifice the life of many heroes, I have hard time to do this mathematical calculation. Let's continue to read. The Greek kings stared back at him. They were stunned. "We can't accept," Diomedes said fiercely. "Not even if he offers to give up Helen too. We are going to win the war." The Greeks are a little bit. The other kings roared their agreement, and Agamemnon turned to the herald. "You heard our answer," he said. "The war goes on, but we will agree to a truce today. Go back and tell Priam that he can collect the bodies of his soldiers. We will do the same." By the time the sun rose, Greeks and Trojans were out on the battlefield again. They came face to face with each other. But there was no fighting this time. Instead, they searched for their dead comrades and solemnly loaded their bodies onto wagon. The Trojans built a funeral pyre outside the city walls. The Greeks made theirs near the entrance to the harbor. All day the sky was dark with smoke, and there was deep sadness on both sides of the plain. To bury the soldiers, the heroes, before dawn the next morning, the Greeks gathered secretly beside the cold remains of their funeral pyre. Working in the dark, they leaped earth over the pyre. They heaped earth over the pyre. building a mount that ran along the harbor. They built a kind of a little hill or something that ran along the harbor. They topped it with a strong wooden wall and made stout paneled gates to let their chariot through. Outside the wall, they dug a ditch, which they filled with sharpened stakes. By the time the sun rose, the whole thing was complete. It towered above the plain, and the Greeks sat down and feasted, drinking toasts to the new wall. They were sure it would keep the Trojans away from their ships. But Zeus was not pleased when he saw the wall. He wanted the Greeks to rely on his protection, not on man-made defenses. He called the gods together, frowning as he spoke to them. It's time to finish this wall. I am going to settle it, and I forbid the rest of you to interfere. If you do, I will send you plunging down the darkest Tartarus. The gods trembled at his threat. Oh my. And the whole sky shuddered. Looking up nervously, the Greeks saw thick clouds sliding across the moon. All night long, thunder rolled ominously above their ships. Zeus is a thunder maker.